Well, it's that time of the year again. The 2024 Billboard Year-End Hot 100 list is out. So now, for the 5th time in this annual tradition for my channel, it's time to count down the top 10 best and worst hit songs of the year. And as always, we're starting off with the worst list. This is the top 10 worst hit songs of 2024. First of all, before getting into the list, apologies that it's been almost 5 months since my last upload. Between being busy looking for a full-time job, as well as not really having any ideas for new videos as of late, I just never got around to uploading a video in the fall of this year. Hopefully the fact that my last video was an ambitious 3.5 hour long documentary / retrospective wasn't enough to hold you over till now. And if you want to count the interview I did with Chris Crippen, it's an additional hour and 10 minutes. By the way, if you somehow haven't seen my Headley Canada's Maroon 5 video, you really should. I'm really proud of that video. I'm really happy I was able to go in depth talking about one of Canada's most popular artists that almost no one outside of Canada has ever heard, and even do an interview with the band's ex-drummer for it. But you're probably here to listen to me talk about the top 10 worst songs of 2024. Actually, not probably. That is the reason you're here. You saw the thumbnail and read the title. I'm here to talk about the top 10 worst songs of the year now that the 2024 Billboard Year-End Hot 100 list is out. I guess I got my answer to the question I asked last year. The 2023 Billboard year stopping early in mid-October was only for 1 year. This year's list was released in December like it was supposed to, although not until the 13th of December. That's another reason why it's been a little while since I last uploaded. While last year's year list was released earlier than it should have been, this year's list was released later than it should have been. Hopefully both this video and the best video will be out before the end of 2024. You already know if they are since you're watching this video in the future either on or after the day of the premiere. Anyway, reminders always that the eligible songs for this list are those that debuted on the 2024 Billboard Year-End Hot 100 list. No songs that didn't make the list are eligible, nor are these 18 songs that also made the 2023 list. Also, go ahead and watch my top 10 best and worst hit songs videos for the 4 previous years to avoid spoilers, since I will be mentioning songs that made those lists here. Finally, as always, this list is just my opinion. Don't get mad at me in the comments for putting a song you like on this list, or not having them in the order you prefer them to be in. Feel free to tell me in the comments what your least favorite hit songs of the year were. Okay, enough dilly-dallying. Time to talk about the top 10 worst hit songs of 2024. Starting off with number 10. Kicking this list off, we got a song that I would consider to be more mediocre than bad. I'm actually willing to defend Travis Scott more compared to other modern mainstream rappers. His ad-libs, melodies, and atmosphere production, especially with the echoey vocals, usually makes his songs, on average, better than the average song from, say, Future, or Drake, or Lil Baby. I'm actually willing to admit that Sicko Mode is a decent song, and there's also a few other songs from him that I actually think are average, if not okay. However, Fiend is not one of them. While not the worst song I've ever heard from Travis Scott, we'll be coming back to him later on this list, Fiend is an unremarkable trap song with blaring synths and sort of sounding like a retro video game. Those of you who own a Game Boy Advance probably know what I'm talking about, but you know how when an old game glitches and pauses when there's music playing, it holds at the last note until you turn the Game Boy off? That's what it reminds me of. Travis Scott's echoey vocals and atmosphere production do make it better than most other trap songs, hence why it's not higher on this list, but it still doesn't make it that good. He's certainly better than Playboi Carti mumbling through his verse and failing to stand out. He sounds like he's trying to do an impression of Future. Why is he even on this song? I think the song would have been better if it had just been Travis Scott. And lyrically, it's just a song about having sex and doing drugs. The word fiend is apparently a slang term for someone addicted to drugs. Although Travis Scott already nailed the trippy, drugged-out sound much better on the aforementioned Sicko Mode. Also, couldn't you come up with a better chorus than just repeating the word fiend over and over? I mean, it's not quite as repetitive as some other songs I've talked about in these lists before, but it still feels like lazy songwriting. It's only number 10 on this list because plenty of other hip-hop songs higher up on this list have way worse production than this. For example, I feel like I might as well spoil it now. This entire list is nothing but hip-hop songs. I've made no secret that I really don't like most modern mainstream rap. Hip-hop has been by far the most represented genre on all of my previous worst hit songs lists. However, this is the first year where literally the entire list is just hip-hop. Even my previous worst hit songs at least had a couple of non-hip-hop songs on them, but not this year. If you like modern trap, you might want to get out now. Still here? Okay, well then let's talk about the first of 2 Nicki Minaj songs to make this list. Everybody. Now, I'll give this one credit for not including a generic trap beat. At least this one tries to make its production sound a little more interesting, I guess. The sample from Junior Senior's 2002 song Move Your Feet certainly helps. While I'm not a huge fan of that song, it's certainly better than any song I'll be talking about in this video. But there's still something about this song that just doesn't work with me. Maybe it's the fact that they sped up Move Your Feet here, making it sound a bit too hyper. Maybe it's the fact that they played the word body or everybody after every line barring the intro and second half of Lil Uzi Vert's verse. Maybe it's the fact that it's yet another hip-hop song about bragging and killing people, like nearly every modern mainstream hip-hop song. Apparently Nicki Minaj wrote the song in 5 minutes. Really? You couldn't have spent another day to come up with something to make the song stand a little more and feel a little less generic? Also, I question why Lil Uzi Vert is even on this song. With the sample, it already sounds like there's another artist on here. Nicki could have easily carried this whole song herself. And it's not like Uzi even says anything interesting on his verse. But hey, at least this wasn't the worst Nicki Minaj hit song this year, but we'll get to that later.
Signo del dinero, ese es mi nuevo zodiaco. Prende un puro, la familia está en Monaco.
And now we have the only Spanish language entry on this list. Although Gata Only by Floyd Manor and Chris MJ was borderline, especially with some of the translations of the song having one of the lyrics as, I'm going to kidnap you. Yikes. That song would have definitely made the list if this were the top 20 worst songs of 2024. But thankfully, we only got one bad Spanish language song to deal with. And here we got a bland and dull Latin trap song where Bad Bunny brags about how much money he has and how much champagne he's drinking, listing off his luxury items and puts down others who aren't as rich as him. I don't say many good things about Bad Bunny, but at least with his reggaeton songs that made my worst of 2022 list, there's at least some semblance of production that tried to do something vaguely interesting. And I will say that I actually don't mind the opening of the song with those strings. But then the generic trap beat comes in, and it turns into a droning trap song that just makes me feel like snoozing. I've heard plenty of modern trap songs that have this exact same beat, including some songs we'll be getting to higher up on this list. And that's before we get that dentist drill sound around the midpoint of the song. Seriously, what is it with songs using dentist drill sounds? That's the last time I want to hear in a song. Bad Bunny doesn't even sound like he's having fun here. For a song about bragging about your wealth and luxurious lifestyle, you could at least try to sound a little more enthused. Everything about this song just feels so half-assed. Even some songs higher on this list sound like they had more effort put into them than this, despite being worse. And hey, at least Bad Bunny is actually singing here. I'll take that over mumbling or rapping. Enjoy the singing here while you can, because we're pretty much only gonna hear rapping from this point on the list.
He don't wanna be saved, don't save him. That is not my nigga, don't claim him. About 20 missed calls, he faded. White boy wasted, Channing Tatum.
A little heads up. I may start sounding like a broken record, no pun intended, as I talk about these songs. A lot of the problems each of these songs have overlap, and something I say about one song might also apply to another. Honestly, it's a little difficult for me to come up with things to say for each of these songs, and have my discussions of each one all be roughly the same length. Wannabe suffers from many of the same problems I have with plenty of other hip-hop songs I've talked about these worst hit songs videos. Dour minor key production that isn't fun to listen to, lyrics about bragging and having sex, a duet when the song would have really been no different if only one of these rappers was doing the whole song, etc. On the last one though, I will say that Glorilla and Megan Thee Stallion do have decent chemistry. They are both pretty good rappers with good flow. But that still begs the question, why have both of them on this song? Especially since it's a song about bragging and getting laid. This would work better if only one of you is bragging and getting dues. Are the two of you competing for guys? You seem to be singing from the same perspective. What does having both of you on the song even add to it? I don't really think it would have been much different in quality if it had just been one of you. Even if they did think that having both of them on the song boosted its quality, considering I'm talking about on the top 10 worst songs on 2024 list, it looks like it didn't boost its quality all that much. Maybe if your production didn't consist of a generic trap beat, a beeping sound, and ominous sounding bells, you could have been spared from this list. Megan Thee Stallion is no stranger to rapping on songs that actually sound more pleasant. I guess she didn't learn anything from them. Also, Whole Night I'm Coming Like Freddy? Yeah, referencing a demonic animatronic bear from a horror game sure makes you sound more sexy. Let's move on before I give any demented fanfiction writers any ideas.
Yeah, glow. Stomp a little pussy hoe with some shell toes. Yeah, glow. Slapping rap bitches and making bail hoe.
Hey look, it's another Glorilla song. Honestly, I was considering having a tie between the two Glorilla songs since they were roughly equal in quality and right next to each other in my list of contenders when I sorted them from worst to best. Plus, I wasn't initially sure which one I disliked more. Ultimately though, I decided that Yeah Glow was just a little bit worse. At least it's just Glorilla this time, not an unnecessary duet. Also, its production may not be as bland as Wannabe's was, but it sounds even more ominous. I said this before, but why do so many modern trap songs have such a dour, minor key, and sometimes even ominous sound to them? I guess maybe it's supposed to make them sound more gangsta or something, but it doesn't make them fun to listen to at all. And if the lyrics and flow aren't interesting enough for me to look past the dour sound, then your song has nothing to offer. And this song really doesn't have anything to offer beyond Glorilla bragging about her wealth and having sex. Honestly, I'm struggling to even find anything else to say about the song because it really is just that generic. And that's another reason why I was considering having the two Glorilla songs be a tie. That way, I could kill two birds with one stone and combine the stuff I'd say about both of them into one entry, which is especially helpful when the song isn't interesting enough for me to even say enough about. Otherwise, I just have to fill the remainder of this entry on the list with filler rather than actually talking about the song itself. Actually, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Hey, don't blame me, blame Glorilla. She made a song uninteresting and bad enough to make this list, that now I have to talk about it for roughly the same time as the other first 8 entries on this list. You could swap the vocal track of both these Glorilla songs over the music track of the other, and neither one would be all that different. And again, neither song is fun to listen to, so I can look past that and enjoy it. Yeah glow? More like no glow.
I don't hang with rats, that's some new type shit. Get a nigga whacked on the news type shit.
Hey, while we're on the topic of ominous sounding trap songs, here's another one. Except it sounds even more ominous, especially with those Christmas sounding bells. Again, way to make Christmas bells sound so dark and ominous. Because Christmas is totally dark and ominous time, right? And it's even stranger that this song was released in March of this year, not around the holidays. So those bells sound even more out of place. And that's before the high-pitched synth that periodically pops in throughout the song comes in. And to make matters worse, we got an even less competent rapper here. At least Glorilla has some power in her voice, and is actually a decent rapper. Future, Travis Scott, and Playboi Carti aren't even close to entertaining performers here. They all sound checked out and bored here, like they didn't get any sleep the night before, or woke up to record this in the middle of the night. I said I was more forgiving of Travis Scott than most modern mainstream rappers, and I am, but in this song, he's not really making his case for me. The atmospheric and echoey sounds that make his songs more tolerable than most other mainstream hip-hop songs aren't here. Really, Travis? You have to water yourself down to make yourself just as bland as these other two guys? Why even appear in the song at all if you're not going to bring any of your redeeming qualities with you? And again, we got the question of, why isn't this a solo song? This could have just been Future, Playboi Carti, and it wouldn't have really been any different. It doesn't take more than one rapper to mumble about being rich, doing drugs, and having sex. Also, the line, "she gripping all of my balls," sounds like borderline sexual assault, and puts a really cringeworthy image into my brain. Thanks for that! And then, of course, there's a line referencing Megan Thee Stallion getting shot at. Yeah, I'm sure Megan really appreciates you referencing something horrible happening to her to brag about yourself. Hey, maybe Tory Lanez should have been in the song too. But as it is, it's a by the dozen trap song that I can't say a single positive thing about. This song, it's some bad type Let's talk about another Future / Metro Boomin song.
Young dope dealer selling dope, is you like that? Kicking doors, kicking in doors, is you like that?
Okay, so I feel like it's necessary to mention that I've never really been up on the Kendrick Lamar / Drake feud. I haven't heard every single diss track the two of them have made against each other since last year, and I generally don't take sides in rap feuds, mostly because, again, not a rap fan. I only have surface level knowledge of Kendrick Lamar and Drake's ongoing feuds, so forgive me if there's any additional context to the feud that I'm missing in regards to these diss tracks. For this list, I'm only judging these songs based on their own merits and how I personally feel about their quality, not on any wider real-world context surrounding them. So with that out of the way, this is the worst song from the feud that I've heard. As a seemingly requirement of every modern trap song, we got more dour minor key production courtesy Metro Boomin, but with some really grating production elements to it. What's with that high-pitched noise heard throughout the song? I'm not sure if that's a horn or some weird synth, but either way, it sounds like someone slid a chair across the floor and auto-tuned the sound to make it sound more melodic. And what's with a high-pitched voice in the background? It sounds even more grating. I can't even hear what's saying behind our two rappers, not that I want to anyway. This song doesn't have any good production choices to it at all. Unlike the previous Future Metro Boomin collab, Future just mumbles through his verse. It doesn't sound enjoyable as a performer. Kendrick Lamar's verse is thankfully more tolerable. He's definitely a much better rapper than Future. Comparing this song to Kendrick's other hit songs as part of his feud with Drake, it's certainly better than Euphoria, despite being 2 minutes shorter, and I actually thought Not Like Us was decent. As for Like That, however, Kendrick alone couldn't save it. If Kendrick was the only rapper here, the song would definitely be lower on this list, but alas.
Fuck the club up, fuck the club up, fuck the club up, fuck the club up.
You know, I swear, Nicki Minaj didn't always make such bland and or annoying music. Look at most of the singles from her first 2 albums. Your Love, Super Bass, Starships, Pound the Alarm. They actually had fun, upbeat, poppy, and or interesting sounds. Not all of her music from them was good. There were a few ominous and dour songs from her discography in 2010-2014, but on average, it was certainly better than the music she put out a decade later. You'd think for a song on her Pink Friday 2 album, it sounded more like the songs from her first Pink Friday album, but from what I've heard, not really. Hell, I'd even take Anaconda over this. At least the sort of Mix-a-Lot sample made the song somewhat interesting. It was certainly better than this boring synthesized beat that sounds like it took 10 minutes to create on GarageBand. And then we get to the sample, which unlike Your Love or Anaconda, doesn't sound anywhere close to decent. Hope you enjoy Waka Flocka Flame repeat the phrase, "F this club up," over and over, because the entire song is built around that. Heck, the song's title is an acronym of that phrase. It may not be as annoying of a repetitive Nicki Minaj song chorus as Stupid H or Dance Ass of Big Sean, but it still feels lazy. You can't even make the excuse that the club or EDM song with minimal lyrics because the focus is on the music. As I already mentioned, it barely tries in the music department too. And of course, like many Nicki Minaj songs, we got at least one cringeworthy line with, "I still got the juice, B, buy a sippy." Oh yeah, referencing a sippy cup sure doesn't make it look childish at all. Way to ruin whatever threatening tone you were trying to go for. And like the previous song, we got another line referencing Tory Lanez shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Are you trying to burn bridges, Nicki? Between this song and Bigfoot, which thankfully didn't make the year-end list, you're really trying to add salt to this wound. Glad your feud with Megan didn't have like 5 songs on the 2024 year-end list. Saves me the trouble of having to talk about multiple songs from 2 rap feuds in this video. But it doesn't save me the annoyance of having to listen to this.
Get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy.
And now we're at the penultimate song on this list. And just like many songs I've already talked about both in this list and in my other worst hit songs list, it's yet another bad hip-hop song that doesn't do anything to distinguish itself from the dozens of others. Uninteresting production, lyrics about bragging and having sex, and some really disgusting lyrics like, thong all of my booty hole. Again, thank you for putting that disgusting image in my head. Hope you watch that thong soon. Also, it's weird how in the chorus, the rapper says that she's not looking for a man or new friends, but on the first verse she says, F me good, and describes having sex on the second verse. So, do you want guys to bang you or not? Make up your mind. You can't have lyrics about getting laid and lyrics about not needing any man in the same song. It's confusing. It just feels like these lyrics were thrown together without any understanding of how they'd fit, or wouldn't fit, together. Also, I don't think mentioning how your skin is glistening is something to brag about. You should probably see a doctor. And then of course we have the bow, bow, bow lyrics recycled from Peaches and Eggplants from last year. Add unoriginal ad-libs onto the pile. However, the thing that really landed this song on the list, let alone this high up, was the rapper herself. I do not like Sexy Red's voice. She sounds like an even more nasal Cardi B, especially on the chorus. Get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy. Well, at least we know who the rapper is on this song. This wouldn't be confused for a Glorilla or Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or Nicki Minaj song, since Sexy Red decided to name the song after herself and repeat the title lyric 4 times in that chorus. Honestly though, despite that name drop, it still doesn't feel that much different from almost any other trap song. If any of those aforementioned female rappers had rapped this song, it really wouldn't have sounded much different. There's absolutely nothing unique or interesting about this song. It's just a pileup of all the worst tropes and trends of mainstream rap rolled into one 2.5 minute pile of slop. But despite that, there was another song from the 2024 Billboard Year-End Hot 100 list that I think was even worse. Before I talk about that though, let's quickly go through a few honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions.
Red rum, red rum, red rum, red rum. G-Block, all we know is red rum.
This song just missed the list. It'd be number 11 on the list. I actually don't mind the production on this song. I actually think the sample choice with the strings and the female vocals, which sort of sound like something out of a musical, make the song stand out, even after the trap beat comes in followed by 21 Savage rapping about weapons and gang stuff. Sure, the violent lyrics don't match the soft sound of the sample, but it beats all the dour, ominous trap production we've heard on the list, though 21 Savage referencing the 3 little pigs at the end of the song does kind of kill whatever ominous sound the song may have had. It's not exactly good, but better than any trap song that did make the list.
Biggest to what? Biggest to what? Biggest to what?
And here's a song that officially began the Drake/Kendrick Lamar feud. It's a standard Drake trap song with bragging lyrics. Although claiming you're as big as a Super Bowl is definitely an exaggeration, especially since J. Cole isn't nearly as famous as Drake, so claiming that you're part of the Big 3 isn't really accurate. Not much to say about the production. It's just kind of middling. Nothing really grating about it, although I could have done without the beat switch. The part of the song before the beat switch is definitely the better part. It's mediocre, but at least it's better than everything on the list proper.
I'ma take a bougie ass to Rodeo and then let her pick up whatever she want. CC Gucci Hippo, take her whatever she want.
I'm gonna be honest, I actually kind of like Bryson Tiller's 2015 song Don't. That's one trap song that I can actually understand why people can vibe to it. I don't really feel that here. There are a couple things that do keep it from making the top 10 worst list though. The production with the strings, as well as the fact that lyrics about Bryson Tiller buying his girl whatever she wants, not whatever he wants. It feels more selfless than the average trap song, since he's doing stuff for someone else, even despite all the rap song cliches that are still here. Plus the questionable line, I'ma nail her ass at home. Still not quite bad or dull enough for the list though.
I don't be giving no fucks. I don't know what you call it on. I don't be giving no fuck.
And we got another Drake song. Again, somewhat decent production does save it from being on the list. That sample on the intro does sound nice, especially with those vocals and trumpet, and even the electronic synths on the rest of the song sound decent too. It honestly sounds just like a Travis Scott song, especially with the auto-tune rapping and the ad-libs, and I kinda wish he'd be the artist of the song instead of Drake or Yeet. Speaking of which, I'm not sure why Drake is the artist with top billing here, given that Yeet raps more of the song than Drake does. Would have preferred Travis Scott compared to Yeet's 21 Savage impression. Might have saved this song from even being a dishonorable mention.
Bend that ass over, let that coochie breathe. Shake that ass, bitch, hands on your knees.
And we have yet another Drake song. I actually considered having a different song being a dishonorable mention instead. Again, I do like the production behind the trap beat. It has sort of a chill R&B sound, especially when SZA comes in for her verse. Even Drake's verses aren't that bad, since he does have some actual melody here as opposed to straight up rapping, even after the beat switch. But honestly, Sexy Red really soured it for me. Her nasal voice and lyrics about letting that coochie breathe, and request to shake and bend over one's ass really sank it. If she wasn't on this song, I probably would have picked a different song here. Thanks for turning a mediocre song into a borderline bad one, Sexy Red. If this song and Get Sexy are any indication, you taint everything you touch. Okay, time for the moment you've been waiting for. Let's reveal the #1 absolute worst hit song of 2024.
Go, go, hands so good she on the road. She ride a dick like a carnival. I done did the impossible.
Oh gosh, this song. Before I say anything about the song itself, I want to make one thing very clear. I am a firm believer in separating art from the artist. I usually don't let things the artist said or did in real life affect my thoughts on their work. I am well aware that Kanye West is a massive egotist who said and done dozens of controversial things over his career, especially his anti-Semitic comments that started around 2022. I wholeheartedly condemn those comments. However, I'm judging the song based on its quality, not on who its performer is as a person. My thoughts on the song are completely unaffected by Kanye West's problematic views. So, what are my thoughts on this song, isolated from Kanye West's character? It's terrible! I knew this would be my #1 pick upon my first full listen of it. Even if Kanye West was the most saintly perfect person in the whole world, the song would still be #1 on this list. Oh gosh, where do I begin with this train wreck? Okay, first of all, the production is incredibly cluttered with the trap beats, electronic synths, and the freaking dentist drill sound. Again, what is this song the dentist drill sounds? It sounds terrible. Then we get the chanting on the chorus and the oh sounds, which sort of sound like a sports chant, and gives me the impression that Kanye West wanted to remake Current Craft 400. Except I can't see any sports team adopting this as their official song. At least Current Craft 400 was instrumental barring the repeated word zombie. When we get to the lyrics, no stadium is going to be chanting this, especially if there's kids in the stadium. Many of these lyrics are about sex, particularly the title lyric, she'll ride the D like a carnival. And honestly, that's one of the least bad sex lines on this song. On Rich the Kid's verse, we get this gem. Let her suck the D, said she was a pro. If she scraped with the teeth, I'ma tell her to go. Oh gosh, that's another disgusting image a song like this has put in my head. Nothing more pleasant than a tooth-scraping blowjob, am I right? Oh, and here's another one from Kanye's verse. She could take it up the ass like a ventriloquist. Oh gosh, now just imagine Kanye's wiener coming up into the girl's throat like a ventriloquist's hand up a puppet's throat. Then of course we get a line referencing Columbine back on Rich the Kid's verse. Yeah, referencing a mass shooting in your song sure turned women on. And then of course, there's the lines with Kanye comparing himself to R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, and Diddy. Really? Is comparing yourself to sex offenders a hill you want to die on? Do you think you're being clever here, Kanye? Or do you see it as an honor that you've arguably gotten into as much controversy and hot water as them? Because that's not something to be proud of at all. Even if this was someone besides Kanye who wasn't controversial rapping this, I would still take issue with this. Nobody should be comparing themselves to sex offenders. And then right after that, he defends Chris Brown. This is for what they did to Chris. You mean canceled him for being a woman beater? Also, Chris Brown still has a music career, strangely enough, so I don't think your defense of him is as strong as you think it is. Also, Rich the Kid, would you mind not rapping in that super high, whiny voice? It's really annoying. Ty Dolla $ign's verse is a bit better than Kanye's or Rich's. It's not rapped horribly, or has any super disgusting or questionable lyrics. Well, unless you count him saying that people want to F his car. Oh gosh, are people going to be dry humping the top of his car? But this slightly less horrible verse makes me feel ashamed that it's wasted on this turd of a song. And once again, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but why did the song just have one rapper? There's 3 rappers here. Or 4 if you count Playboi Carti's background vocals. What did having 3 or 4 rappers on the song accomplish that any one of them could have done alone? Just like how the production is way too cluttered, the roster is too. By the way, Rich the Kid and Playboi Carti aren't even credited on the song on Spotify. I'd say maybe it's because they're too embarrassed to co-sign this, but even if that's true, why even lend your vocals here in the first place? All in all, Carnival's an absolute headache of a song. It's the kind of carnival ride that makes you throw up for having experienced it and wish you'd never tried it. It's easily the #1 worst hit song of 2024. Comparing the song to the #1 worst songs of the 4 previous years, it's worse than 2020's Yummy, not sure about 2023's Try That in a Small Town, and slightly less bad than 2021's Way Too Sexy or 2022's Super Gremlin. But it's still an awful song all the same. I'm not coming back to this carnival ride again. And that's the top 10 worst hit songs of 2024. Thanks for watching and suffering through these bad songs with me. Best hit songs list is coming very soon, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you then.